Hello, we are in a special season finale episode with Angie Jordan, where Angie has persuaded me to trade places with her. And she is taking over my podcast. She's going to ask me all those questions that you've been listening to throughout the season. Now I have to answer the questions, and I'm in the hot seat. I'm nerve sighted. Angie, are you ready?
I'm so looking forward to it. Like this is fun. And matter of fact, I actually reached out to another client of mine and I was like, I think we should do this. Like we should 100%. I want to come on and interview you because obviously I'm all about like how can we be strategic with your podcast and highlight your brilliance? And I'm like, let me bring it out of you.
Yeah. Let me force you.
Let me make you talk about yourself a little bit. So, thank you for allowing me this satisfaction because truly this is going to be fun for me. And also, thank you to whoever is listening for tolerating my BS, whatever BS I'm going to be on today. Okay. So, as you already probably know, because this is your podcast and I've listened to every one of your episodes, we're going to start off with telling us, Lindsay, who are you behind the business, without all the titles? Who is Lindsay?
And you know what? I practice this, and now I'm like, who am I without all the titles? I am someone that's learning to be comfortable with who she is and forgiving myself for like past mistakes. But I'm also I'm feisty. Like I'm like now I won't fight you. I will sue you. But um I'm learning to respect the boundaries that young me was trying to make. I'm learning to embrace
Yeah.
that I got boundaries.
Yeah.
So that's who I
I love
am.
that. You talked about that, I think, in the last episode. One of your last episodes, you talked about like having boundaries. One of the other things that I thought was interesting that you were talking about, I think, in your interview with Patrice, you were talking about this idea of, well, not this idea, this like imminent change, big change that's coming up in your life. So I think it's really interesting that we're talking about who you are behind the brand and behind your business, because I think for you, and maybe this is what led you to want to do the season kind of on this too, it's that's probably something that's really at the forefront of your mind and what you're thinking about is what's next for me behind this career that I've had, and now that's going to be different or changing. Is what is next for me? So I just tell me a little bit about so far in this process, and you can, run down like what's going on with you
Mhm.
personally, like once I finish saying this, so that anybody who doesn't know what's going on. Um, but through this process so far, what would you say are your biggest takeaways about or for anyone who also is going through or about to go through a big, life change or transition? Yeah. Yeah, that's it. What's one of your biggest takeaways so far? Like you haven't gone through it, but going into it, what's something that you're really clinging to or really holding on to or that's really helping you to sort of navigate this time?
So first, the thing that I'm transitioning to or starting to transition out of is in 24 months I'll be retired from active duty army, which that was 20 years. I'm gonna be 40 on in August. So that's half my life. It's close to half my life. So,
Yeah.
but I will be transitioning out of the army 24 and within 24 months. And in this process, some things that I've learned is to start letting go of things that you can't control and learning to just care. At the end of the day, day going in. the day's gonna end, as Glorilla says. But at the end of the day, the army's gonna keep going on. I tell my team this. We sing a whole song about it that says the army's gonna keeps rolling along, and it is, with or without me. It's gonna keep rolling, and I have
Yeah.
to start detaching myself. It is really hard when it's something you that's been a part of your life for 20 years. Like you've been, it's they teach you they tell you what to wear, where to be, how to look, how to dress. They brand you essentially so that you meet their
Mm,
brands and their
mhm.
brand needs. And now you're stepping out and you're not a part of that brand anymore. So now trying to figure out what my brand, my real brand is without
Yeah,
having this other one in the background that I have to still adhere to. So it's just
yeah.
learning to detach.
I
Let
love
people
that,
be.
and I love that you said that you mentioned about your brand because I think a lot of people who listen to this, right, are business owners, and I love that you didn't immediately go to, okay, so now I'm leaving this part of my life and now I'm going to immediately make everything about my business.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that would be an easy thing to dive
Mhm.
into what's next. And I really love that you're kind of approaching it as like, who am I? Which is what this whole season has been about without even that business that defines me. And for everyone who's listening and all the entrepreneurs and business owners and in all the roles that we have in our lives. I went through something similar. My daughter graduated high school and I was like who am I
Yeah.
without that role of making sure somebody get to school every day
Yes.
and taking care of them. It's weird. But I think we get so caught up in these roles, and especially people who have businesses, like it just becomes your whole life and your whole identity. So, how do you plan on navigating or when it comes to your business? Because obviously, I mean, first of all, you can tell me if your plans are to step more full time and go deeper into your business or if you're doing something else. But how do you plan on keeping that identity of like just you being the brand and having your business be something that's separate and not having this like consume you? So how are you planning on stepping into this next role with staying really true to yourself, I guess would be the question.
So I do plan on once I retire, I do plan on being more involved in my business or taking on more clients. But I do not want it to take up 8 hours or 8 to 10 hours of my day. That's not gonna happen. I don't even want my job to take 8 to 10 hours of my day right now. So I know I don't want to add something else that takes that much time. I plan to be able to stop that from happening. I started doing daily walks. So I live close to the water, not far from Annapolis, and I can walk to see, and I think that's Severn River, some body of water within 15 minutes. Short walk as my come to Jesus, my peace, the calm before the storm, and that has allowed me to be able to really think about now what on those walks is just me. What am I? I don't have to think about what I'm doing for the day. I can tune out anything that all the noise, and it gives me the time to just be with myself. And a lot of times, especially with being a mom and transition from the military, and then even if I step into my business, being a wife, you have so much noise and noise,
Yeah.
and I love these people, but it's a lot of noise, and
Yeah.
I need those moments where I don't have to think about who's going to school. This is who do you have a haircut? I don't have to think about those types of things. I'm just walking for the walk there and walk back for about 30 minutes, and it's to actually not think.
Yeah. I love that. Walking is really therapeutic.
Yes.
I I've been walking so much more since I've moved, and I live in a walkable city, and so there's so
Mhm.
many different places to walk, but it literally I notice a difference in the days that I walk and when I don't walk. I'm
Yes.
like, "I should have went on my walk today." Like, it's
Yeah.
just calming to my nervous system, like,
Mhm.
it is, and so I totally get that. So as you step into, doing more things in your business, and is helping people really focus on being true to themselves and building their brand? Like, how are you gonna approach, like, if I'm your client, how are you gonna approach helping me and highlighting the who I am in my brand? Like, how are you gonna do that through your services and how you help people? Or is that gonna be something that's, like, in the forefront of how you approach what you do? Like, how are you infusing this building your own brand and being true to yourself into your business going forward?
So, for my clients, when I work with them, I am asking them questions, not only about their personality, but let's say it's tech wise, because I'm a tech person. If I know you're not tech savvy, I'm not going to ask you to use a tech that's going to stress you out. Like, I'm not going to ask you to use a tech. So, I teach them ways to be able to deliver products in a way or services in a way that aligns with their skills, because I'm not always going to be there, or that aligns with their lifestyle. My lifestyle with a teen, a toddler, and all this other stuff is completely different than somebody that's just by themselves. So when I approach them, we have several conversations where I'm doing more listening than talking, so I can hear what they have going on in their lives, where their strong points are, and then how can I help them incorporate tools in their website and inside their brand that fits who they are, and they're not trying to do something that somebody else is doing just because it sounds good. And when you can't even, it doesn't fit with what you have going on. So when I do work with my clients, that's how I help them shine their authenticity through. And
Stop beating your hands on the desk. I'm gonna listen to this back as I'm recording. I would be like, shut up. I ain't gonna be able to take that out. Be careful.
and
Okay. Just FYI. That's okay. I'm like, wait, I'm hearing something. Is she like tapping my foot? Is she putting your hands on your desk? Okay, so just be careful with be careful with doing that. Okay. So you said part of part of what you're going to do and how you work with clients is really making sure that you listen to their needs. And
Mhm.
I think that that is so important, and I can relate to that, because when you have and that's a really hard thing to articulate as a like as a business owner of something that you are really good at. Like, it's like I'm I'm actually really good at listening and taking feedback and tailoring solutions to you,
Mhm.
but it's such an amazing skill to have. It's something I feel like I'm really good at, and it's just something that I think for some people comes more natural than others. But are I love that you said you're going to start listening, or not start listening, that's something that you already do to really pull out what people, even the things that they don't say, right? It's just in
Yeah,
the yeah, you
they
can
don't know what they don't know,
they
but
don't
I know
know.
what you need, but I just need to figure out how you need it.
Exactly, exactly. So I think that is such a skill that is underrated or not talked about, like, a lot in the online space and with service providers, because I think that there are a lot of people who don't who don't have that skill and who don't do that. So tell me, when it comes to your clients, and also, and yeah, of course, I'm asking a lot about what you do because I want people to know what your brilliance is.
Mhm.
So I guess that's my question. What is your brilliance in what you do for people and their businesses and their brands?
My brilliance is, oh, that's hard. Should have sent me
Mhm.
a list of questions.
Mm-mm. Nope. I want it off the cuff.
I would say my brilliance is I have with if you put take my formal education and then my time in the military and then just life events period, I have learned to walk that line of creative in like data, or I guess you could say like science, numbers. And mostly when people are usually one or the other. Like you're really creative, but you don't care about the math and all that other stuff.
Mhm.
Because of what I've had to do and with the experiences, my secret sauce, whatever you want to call it, is that I can look at your numbers as far as your website. I can look at the numbers as far as what people are doing when they come to your website. I probably was the people on Wall Street to watch the numbers. Probably in my past life, that was probably what I did. But I can look at your data and then figure out creatively, visually, what we need to change based off what the numbers are saying. So it's a balance, but that is I'm not just making pretty stuff because I think it looks good. The numbers have to make sense.
I love that. I think that I hate that I keep saying I love that. I really do. I'm gonna have to edit that out. No, that's such a valuable thing when it's actually, and I like marketing and doing it's all about the data. Like it's just
Yeah,
all about the data. It's all about the numbers. And then once you start realizing that and digging more into that, it just
it can consume
it,
you. It's like,
yeah. Yeah. So obviously to be able to do all the things that you've done, you have like you're a mother, you're a wife, you're a business owner, and you are in charge of a lot of people at your job that you're at currently, right?
yes.
That's a lot of things to juggle. And to me, that takes a lot of self leadership. That takes a lot of discipline, focus, or that takes a lot to be able to juggle and handle all those things. So, who would you say, is there a person or a mentor or someone in your life that has really, do you feel like really has influenced you, or who has been a mentor or been a leader to you that has helped shape the kind of leader, because you're both a leader to others and a self leader?
Mhm.
Who is there, a person that you can think of that really has helped to shape the way that you show up for yourself and for others?
I can't say it's one person, but I will say, and it came out a little bit when I interviewed my aunt. It's
Mhm.
definitely my aunts, plural. From the South, there's 9. From my mother's side, there's nine kids total, and only 3 are guys. So I only have 3 uncles, and the rest are all aunts. So I was raised by look at me, struggling with the math. But 6 of them. I was raised by the 6, including my mom, 6 women who just have aunts, 5 that taught me different things. My first time getting paid was with my aunt who just passed, and she was a caterer. And she would have me, like, she would make sure we was dressed nice. She would make sure no stains on your shirt, showing up, the customer service. She taught me those types of things. And then my aunt Veronica, she is definitely always put together, fearless. Um, my youngest aunt Monica, she owns a daycare, but she is one of the kindest spirits. And she's funny too. She's real funny, but one of the kindest spirits. And she's taught me how to show up in that manner. My aunt Evelyn, who's actually my godmother, she was the first one to graduate from college. So I remember as going to UNC Chapel Hill to see her graduate as a young kid in the 90s. And then my oldest aunt Julia, who passed away also, she was like a second mom. She only had one child. She had a son, but I lived close enough to her to where she would like, come walk to my house. I bought you this thing. Or she had a sandbox. She had a young kid. She had me, but she had a sandbox just for me. But
She treated you like her daughter.
yeah.
Yeah.
So those women, my aunts, definitely influenced, and I've taken pieces from all of them on how I show up for myself, how I show up as a leader, and how I just treat people in general.
Yeah. Family is big. Family is big. And I think that's something that as you go through these big life changes a lot of times that it really highlights how big your family and core and like support system really is and how important it is. So, speaking of family and speaking of self leadership and mentors, you have daughters, right? You have two daughters, right?
Yes.
Yes, I know. I see about that toddler.
That's she's a terror.
That's- we could just gonna call her a toddler. We just gonna leave it at that. But what are some things that yeah, I have a daughter also, and um, to me, it's so important, and me building my business was a lot of my driving force behind it had to do with things I wanted to impart and teach my daughter also. So
Mhm.
what are things that you hope to pass on to your daughters about life, business, self-leadership? Like what are some of the core things that you want to feel like, okay, I accomplished this as a mother?
So I would say, I have two. Kennedy, I would say the lessons I've passed from Kennedy to Kennedy will definitely be different from the ones from Carter because of the age gap.
Mm,
Kennedy grew up, she's 15. She grew up with me essentially.
mhm,
Um, I want to, from her, I hope that I have taught her and will continue to teach her not to give up
mhm.
and that she can accomplish whatever she puts her mind to, and don't allow people to minimize who you are or continue. It seems like when we go through life, and for some people it's not like this, but for me, like you're very strong with who you are. Like Carter, the toddler, she knows exactly who she is, and I try not to um minimize, take a little bit of her personality and make her start shrinking herself.
Yeah.
With Kennedy, she got the shrunk down version of me,
Mhm.
and Carter is not getting that. So they're definitely getting two different people. But
Yeah.
with Kennedy, I want to show her that you don't have to, both of them, you don't have to shrink yourself. And if you do get to that point where you're starting to shrink yourself, it's okay to go back around and figure out who you are. It's okay to find yourself.
Mm,
Go get that couch time. Go get, and I'm always, go talk to somebody if you need to. It's okay. So
yeah.
that, for Kennedy, yes. For Carter, I just need to teach her don't fight people.
She gonna be all right otherwise. Just
She's gonna be
don't
all
go
right. Just don't go to jail because
don't
I'm
put
not
your
gonna be
hand
able to do
don't go to jail. Don't put
that.
your hands on people and go to jail. Like so maybe we need to teach her some like patience or teach her some like
Yes.
teach her some grace towards
Yes.
other people.
Because she
Cause
definitely does not have it.
she's that's so cute. They're both so cute. It's I enjoy looking at your social media stuff about both of them. That's funny. So you I you say like one of the things is not giving up that you want to impart to I'm sure both of your daughters.
Mhm.
And how have you and again I'm going to take this back to the business side because I mean business is hard. Like running a
Yeah,
business and I know you're not supposed to like say it's hard or whatever, but sometimes
but
the
it
shit's hard.
is.
It is. It's hard. It's just like with anything that is hard, quote unquote hard. Like nothing worthwhile is easy. It's just
Mm-mm.
not. Like being married, having kids, like running a business, like all of those things would be easier in your life if you did not do those things. Like
Yep.
if you're just single, all you gotta do is worry about yourself. All you gotta do, like all you gotta do is go clock in to 9 to 5 and not worry about
Then
anything
go
else. Like
home.
that's easier. It is. It can
Mhm.
be easier. But how have you stayed resilient and as you manage all these different things and not given up when it comes to your business or also what would you say to people right now I feel like it's been a common thing that business has kind of changed and marketing has shifted and it's
Mhm.
harder people are having a harder time getting sales and I know a lot of people who have quit. And not that that's bad, because sometimes it's just the right thing for you. But what would you say to the person who really wants to make this shit work, but they're in that space of like, this ain't working for me? Like, what would you say to someone about not giving up on their business or not giving up on their dreams?
When I say find you a village or a
Mm,
person. A person can be one person can be your whole village. Like find you somebody that's going to help you get through that moment if you don't want to give up. So even in my 9 to 5, I have that one person at work who she's about to leave. So you should talk to me next month. So I don't know how I'm gonna feel next month.
but for now.
For now, she has held me down and she's like my right hand, and I would not, especially with moments that we went through inside of the job, if she wasn't there, and then even some of the other coworkers, but her in particular, I would have gave up. I would have said, can y'all pick somebody else to take this spot? In my business, it's the same thing. Find someone that you can have those conversations with, and don't be afraid to pivot, because maybe it's not
Mm,
business itself. It might be what you're doing that doesn't
right.
align anymore. So just have an open mind and give yourself grace if that's what you're thinking.
Yeah. And can you talk about, or what's a big can you share with us what is something that you like thinking how I want to say this in a really funny way, but what's something you like really screwed up, fucked up? You fucked something up. You messed some shit up in your
Mhm,
business, in your life, in your job, whatever.
mhm.
What can you think to a time where you really thought like, "Oh my god, I really messed this up and I'm not going to get through this." Tell us about, what that mistake was, or that, and what was that lesson, and how you were able to navigate something like that, because we all mess up. I remember the first time I had a client unhappy with me in my business, I thought the world was going to end. I was like so upset. I was so upset. I couldn't even function. But
Yeah.
so tell me about a time that something happened, or a mistake that you made, and how did you navigate that, and what did you learn from that?
I started off as doing wedding invitations in Missouri. So I started off doing wedding invitations, and I messed up because I was supposed to get the addresses printed, and I forgot. And it was like 150 invitations. And so me and my mom, I don't know how old she was then. She's like 70 now. So she's like 60 something years old. We're in Missouri hand jamming all these invitations and putting them together because I forgot. I didn't have a process really. I was just
Mm,
winging it through. I didn't have a checklist. I didn't have anything to make sure I got all the checks in the box right. And when they came, I was like, "What do I do?" Because you can't ask people, "Well, can you hold off on that wedding while I run these back through
yeah,
the print?"
yeah.
I kind of messed up here. I just had to have some hand crabs. Maybe that's why I have carpal tunnel now. But
So what did that lesson teach you?
it taught me to have a process. Can't just be Don't just be out here winging it and all being all willy nilly. And it
Yeah.
taught me to write stuff down because I try to keep everything up here. And that's
Mhm.
something that I'm still like, I gotta write it down. I better send this message now. And I even send people messages. I'm like, I don't need you to do this right now, but I will forget. So I'm sending this to you right now before I forget. So when you get to it, you have it. So having a process, having a set way to do things instead of shooting from the hip every time.
Yeah.
So stayed. I thought I was like, what am I gonna do? And I was like, we could write them. I
And, and
could.
and I think the other lesson from that is just like, sometimes you do. Hold on, girl. I'm setting up my camera so I could do some B-roll footage for myself. I'm like,
Like, what are you doing?
I gotta be. I know I'm like looking over here. I gotta record myself doing everything now because I'm trying to be a content creator. One of the people who lives here called me a content creator. They're like, "This is my friend Angie. She's a content creator." I was like, I am. It was so funny because it just like I'm like I'm not a great content creator, but I'm like shit. I spend most of my time on creating content. That is probably
That
true,
you're a
but
content creator.
that's true. Yeah. But anyway, I feel like the lesson from that too is in business, in life, there's always an answer.
Yeah. Might not be the
Like
one you want.
it might not be the one you want, but there's always an answer. There's always a solution. There's always a way around or through. And sometimes you just have to, like, we get so wrapped up in our emotions or being upset that we made a mistake, or, sometimes it feels like, oh my gosh, there is no solution. Like, stop, pause, go take a walk,
Yeah.
go call your biz bestie,
Hmm.
go call that village. And I love that you said having that village because it really so much changed in my business
Hmm.
when I had a village and when I was down. Like one of my biz besties, she would call me and I'm like, I don't have any motivation to do anything. She would call me every morning and she would say, "Get up, bitch.
Yeah.
Bitch, get
Get
up.
your up.
What you doing? Get up." And I was like, that is so amazing. But yeah, there's always a solution. And it's about part of, and I'm sure through the career that you've had and through running a business, like there's shit that doesn't go right. And there's shit that's not the way that you always want it to be.
Hmm.
And so having that ability to be agile and adjust and move on. And if you make a mistake, say, look, I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah.
I, I'm sorry. I forgot the addresses. Like,
Yes.
I know that that's like unacceptable, but here's how we gonna solve this problem. Like,
Hmm.
and so I think that that's another lesson from that. So, would you say that? Oh, first, let me ask you this: what did little Lindsay want to be when she grew up?
Ooh. At one point, because my mom worked in the hospital, I thought I wanted to be a doctor. Looked at how long the school was, and I was like, nah, that's not for me.
Me too. I did until I got to school and I took my first biology class, and I was like, "Oh hell no,
This is not for me.
no, no, not me."
By the time I got to high school, though, I wanted to be a news reporter.
Oh really?
Yes, I wanted to be on, and I didn't want to be sitting behind the desk. I wanted to be in the thick of it. And my mom was like, "Girl, you want?" So you want? Mom was like, "You want the people to be shooting in the background?" Like, yes, I want to live that life.
To be like, "I'm here," and even the gunshots going, ducking and dodging the
Yes.
gunshots.
So I wanted to be a news reporter because maybe I was just nosy, but I wanted
That's
to
funny.
know. I wanted to report the news. Even though the people behind the desk get paid the most money, I didn't want to do
Yeah,
that. I wanted to
yeah.
be out. Don't send
Oh,
me out
that.
there with the hurricane, and I'm like with my little umbrella. I don't know why I wanted
Oh,
that, but that's what I wanted to do.
oh. I feel like that's giving me Carter vibes.
Yeah.
That's giving me Carter vibes. I feel like she would want to do that too.
Yes, because she's not scared of anything.
Yeah, she does scared. That's funny. I hope it so she gets some of that. She gets some of that from you.
Yes.
That I mean, you are called fierceified.
Yes.
So
I am.
feisty, fiercified. So obviously you went a completely different path than that, which I mean, most of us do. I wanted to be a doctor and then I graduated in apparel design only because um, I picked a major. I didn't have to take any math and sciences. That's how I picked my major. It's like, what I gotta take? Oh, I ain't gotta take that. All right, this what I'm doing. I'm gonna sit up here
I'll
and draw
take
some
that.
clothes. I'll sit there and sew some shit for you.
Yeah.
But obviously, you went on a completely different
Mhm.
path, and I love that you. My dad was in the army. I come from my mom was in the army. They met in the army. My brother was in Marines. I come from a military family. So thank you for your service. I love that you have done that for the time that you did. There's so many benefits to it. But would you say that little Lindsay, who was wanting to be nosy and be in people's business and dodge bullets, would you say that she is proud of who you have become today?
I would say she's definitely proud. When little Lindsay would cut you off, you got one time.
Carter, Carter
You know how
vibes.
some little kids are like, "I'm not your friend anymore," and y'all friends in
Yeah.
5 minutes? No, not little Lindsay. We're not friends no more. Like, you took my crayons in kindergarten, I still remember in high school, I'm not talking to you. But she would be proud that I have learned to set boundaries, but learn how to do it as an adult, in an adult way. Set the boundaries and let it go. Let that hurt go.
Mhm.
Um, she would also be proud that I stand up for myself because she was Carter. She would fight you. She would fight by because I was small. I'm only 5'2". So
I know, I know, I know. I saw you. Remember when I met you in person? I was
yeah,
like, "Oh my gosh."
so
You're
I was
bite
small.
sized.
And I didn't take any mess. I grew up with mostly male cousins, and they would like to pick on people just because that's what guys do. But I'll fight you. I'll bite you. Like I, some of them still have scars. I was mean. I was nice, but don't push me.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've gotten now. I won't, like I said, I won't fight you. I will sue you now because I'm a little more sophisticated. But I will stand up for myself, and you're not going to push me because that's not
Yeah.
the way you want. You know how like there was on social media there was a thing going around like the fuck around and find out scale.
Oh, yeah. The more you fuck around,
Yeah,
the
the
more
more you
you gonna
find
find
out.
out. Okay, well, I would say that's like the what they call that? Like the small man syndrome, like the little
Yeah,
person syndrome, like my little chihuahua.
yeah.
When I my chihuahua, I remember once we were walking and we were walking my dad's dog, which is like a boxer bulldog lab mix. So she's like a bigger dog. And I'm walking my chihuahua, and a pit bull like was stray, and it was like it came at us very aggressive. Like it came out on the street like in attack mode, like its teeth going, "Urgh," like all this shit.
Oh,
My dog, Chihuahua, was about that business. She was growling. I had to pick her ass up because she was like, "Let me at her. Let me go." This is Lindsay. Lindsay
yeah.
is like, "Let me at her. I don't care. I
I
don't
don't
care."
care.
Like that dog could have like crushed my dog with one bite.
Yeah.
She ain't care. Meanwhile, my dad's dog is just like oblivious that anything is even going on. She over there, her tail wagging. I'm like, "Bitch, this
Come
dog
on,
gonna
let's
get us.
go.
The dog." And we in the country, so there's nowhere to like run to. There's nothing to jump on top of.
Yeah.
Just fields all around us. Like we couldn't. I was like, wait a minute. Anyway, but like that's how y'all. That's how like the little chihuahuas. Like Lindsay is like a little chihuahua. out here in these streets. Yeah, you don't play with people that come in 5-2 packages. You don't. I
Yes.
know
We got
I
something to
know
prove.
I know this already. You don't play. My grandma was like 4'11" and she was something else. You don't play with her. You don't play.
Mm-mm.
Meanwhile, you got ones like me that's 5'7" and like I'm the other dog. I'm just like,
What's happening?
what's that? Oh, they did. Oh, you don't like me? Oh, I didn't even realize. Oh, you took my crayons. Oh, okay. Can I still be your friend? That's me. Even though everybody thinks I'm like a hard ass online and how I come across, like not to be fucked with, but really I'm like the biggest softie and like and I'm scared. I'm scary. That's how I would grow up. Everybody like you scary. I'm like, yeah. I'm about to call my sister who's 5'4". Anyway, this is so much fun, and I've just enjoyed learning more, about you and digging into who you are behind the brand. And I think as you wrap this episode up and this season up, is there any other thing that you want to say about this season, lessons from this season, lessons to people who are listening? What else about being more than your brand or the person behind the brand? Any other things that you want to leave with us at the end of the conclusion of this season and this episode?
This season I think this season has been the best season because I've learned, and my audience people have told me that they've seen themselves in the stories from other people, and it makes people more approachable. I know that people don't have it all together. Like you see the curated social media of you got it all together. This is easy. I'm in like 5 different places at one time. But really deep down, it ain't all together, y'all.
It's not. Nobody has it together.
I'm not all together. I'm not untouchable. I have my oldest daughter, Kennedy. She said, "Mom, I can see how people could be intimidated by your success because you make it look easy." And I was like,
Well, it ain't.
but I always wasn't your mama, girl. I was out here in these streets fighting and fighting. Like I wasn't this put together. It was a lot of learning and mistakes and grace. So as you listen to this season, re-listen to it, get prepared for the next season. Just go into it knowing that it's okay to have grace in your life and in your business. And I'm excited for next season. I guess that's you didn't know that, but
we've not talked about next season yet.
No.
And I'm excited too because I agree. I've listened to, all the episodes this season and I really have enjoyed all, like you said, like the stories. And I think this could be like what you said, how we all need a village and this, even just being able to connect with people behind like who they are behind what the facade is helps you to feel not alone. It helps you to feel like, wait, my shit fucked up, but like so is everybody else's. Yes. I'm telling you, it's the truth. And I know that there's this one entrepreneur in particular that when I say what I'm going to say, you'll probably know who I'm talking about. But we've watched her build a massive business and it's fucked up. We've seen so many like crazy things happen, so much stuff. And I'm not saying that, this is the person or I look up to that person's necessarily business or way of doing things. But the biggest lesson that I have learned, and the thing that I take from that and have enjoyed watching is the fact that the shit keep going, and
Yep.
the fact that you can be real, you could do a lot of fucked up shit, or you can mess up shit, and you could still build a business and build the shit that you want to build. Now,
Mhm.
I ain't saying don't be ethical or a fucked up person, but I'm just saying in general, that lesson or the thing that I see from that is that people would see that who don't know from the outside and think, wow, I wish I had this, or I wish this is what, it was for me, or I had this level of success, whatever.
Mhm.
When really they just don't see that that person is literally just like you, messing up, making mistakes, eh, doing things imperfectly, trying new things, not knowing all the answers. I think what's important is you just gotta, and you said something, like even when we were talking about the biggest, the mistake that you made, it's just about how do I put my foot forward? How do I
Mhm.
give myself grace? How do I let that be okay? How do I continue on? Because guess what? That's just life.
Yeah.
That's just life. That's just life. It is.
I
So
agree.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you for letting me have you on your podcast. I've truly, truly enjoyed it. And yeah, go ahead and close us out, Lindsay.
Thank y'all for listening to this special episode of More Than a Brand. Go check out Angie M. Jordan. She is the podcast bestie, the podcast producer. She would get your podcast right. And if it was not for Angie, we would not be having More Than a Brand. So check her out. Give us a follow, and we will see